Annemie, over to you.
Okay, thanks. So for this part, I really just want to share my screen and explain a little bit about what the REDCap dashboard actually looks like. Okay, so once again, this is your study. Okay, so when you're in production mode, you still have add and edit records, but you also have this other dashboard over here. It's called Record Status Dashboard. And this is where you get an overview of all the records that are in the project. So I'm specifically picking this project because it only has 6 records, so it doesn't take a long time to load on the screen. If you've got thousands of records, I wouldn't recommend viewing it like this on the screen all the time because it will take a long time to load. But what you can see here is you can see the names of the records, you can see all the forms across, and if there are different events, etc., the events are up here. This is from a randomized controlled trial, so it actually has like very structured events. What I want you to notice up here is the legend. This is for the status of the form in each instance. So in REDCap, green bubbles mean complete, red mean unverified, and yellow mean unverified, and red for incomplete. If a bubble is gray, there's no data saved. If you see these bubbles on top of each other, it can be many statuses that are all the same. And if you see the bubbles on top of each other, but it's blue, it means there are many statuses, mixed statuses in that group of forms. Okay, so how you set this is at the bottom of each form, in REDCap, you will automatically see this section that asks you about the form status, and this will come up every time. You don't have to create this item. And you'll see the 3 options there, the red, the yellow, and the green. And this is for the data capture people to track sort of how far they are with the different forms. So this one, you can see everything is green already. And how we use this in practice is basically for the data entry people, a communication tool with each other. If it is left red, it means I'm still busy with this one. If you are finished with that form, you change it to yellow. It means this form is ready for someone else to check it, please. And once a form has been checked by a second person for completeness and accuracy, then you change it to green, and that says, okay, this form is done and it has been checked. Well, that's a recommended way of using it, but sites can also come up with their own ways of using the statuses. But just so you know, and in REDCap, the interface is very easy. You just click on any bubble to go to the corresponding form. So if I want to go to medical history for patient number 7, then I will just click on the corresponding bubble and I will get that form. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And then in terms of the record status dashboard, you'll see it's displaying what it calls a default dashboard, and that will be all the records. Okay, but you can also create custom dashboards. So if you have very big or very complex projects, you may want to make a custom dashboard that only shows you certain records, or that only shows you certain events. So you don't want it to be like all the way like wide up to the very last thing. Maybe you only want to see the first event in this record status dashboard. So you can go ahead and you can give it a name, and I'll just call it screening event. And then what I want to do is I want to select and only show things that come from the screening event. But I can also use filter logic. So remember the branching logic that we did earlier? You can use a similar kind of logic to restrict which instruments you want to see. And there's even an example at the bottom about how to format that. But in this case, I'm not interested in filtering the records. I just want to filter on the events that I want to see. and then I go save. Now when I view the dashboard, it's a lot more succinct. So it's only showing me the screening events and the forms that are associated with the screening events. And I can always change back to the default dashboard if I want to. So each user in REDCap can decide how they want to, if they want to set up a custom dashboard, or they can use the dashboards that have been set up for the project. They can switch to any dashboard that already exists there. And important to note is if you are using data access groups, the record status dashboard will automatically filter on your data access group for you. Okay. Unless you are in the data access group that says all, in which case you can select it here to filter. But if you are already in a data access group, you will always only see your site's records. Then you, no matter how you filter with the, custom dashboards, whatever, you will still only see the records that belong to your site. Yeah, and it's not super complicated, but it is a useful thing to show. But then the thing that kind of goes along with this is data exports, reports, and stats. And I just briefly also want to show you guys the usability of that. So, I mean, you can see it, the dashboard, you can see the records like this, but you don't actually know the content of them until you go into the forms. So if you want to view the content of the forms, you go to data exports, reports, and stats, and then you say view report. And so now it's pulling a report of all the data, all the records, all the fields. And you'll see it's actually listing the data now. And now it's showing me what is captured in each field. Okay, so that's the quick way of getting a report. Again, just be careful if you are going to run this report and you've got a lot of records, then it's going to take a long time to render the report on your screen. So in this project, I only had a few records, so it makes it easier. And then the other built-in feature that works along with the view report is the stats and charts. So this is an automatic thing that REDCap can do. So I can say, okay, maybe for demographics, show me the stats and charts. And it will do some automatic things here. So screening number, it is seeing that as a number. So it's saying there are 6 and none are missing, which is good. Then race in this case is captured as a categorical variable. And then it will show me a little graph. And if I hover on the graph, it will show me the actual counts, the numbers. And I can download this image as a little picture, and it generates a .png file that I can paste into a report or whatever. So it's like a quick way to see what is in my database. If you do age, which is a numeric calculated variable in this case, then it will quickly show you the actual ages on a graph. And it will also show you a little table here. It will show the min, the max, the mean. It's just some automatic stats that it does for you. So this is quite nice, actually. Again, you can download the image. So if you just want a quick look at what is in my database, then this is often a more useful thing to look at than the record status dashboard. So, okay, let's look at medical history, for example. So there was a question about cigarettes, and then this is what's in my database. 2 said never, 1 said current, and 3 said former user. So this is the quickest way to actually see what's in the database. But as soon as you want to do something more complicated, say you don't want to just know the age, right? You want to know the you don't want to know the mean age. You want to know the mean age by sex, right? You want to compare it across males and females. Then you have to export the data to a stats package to do that. But if you only want to look at one variable at a time, then that can be done inside REDCap using this stats and charts tab over here. So I can switch back to view report. And any report that I make, I can switch to stats and charts. And then whatever report you make, you can also export. And I showed this earlier, how you would export the data. You would just choose what format you want to export it. Okay, so that was a default report that just said view all data. But you can, of course, also make your own report. You can say, show me the visit dates for the baseline events, and then view report. And then we'll only pull out those fields. And again, I have the stats and charts button, so I can look at the age at that visit, for example. But I can also create entirely custom reports. I can do create new report. I can give it a name, and I can choose the individual fields that I want to include in that report. So if I'm only interested in, I don't know, weight, and I don't know, what did they call it in this project? Gender. Oh, wait, this is a project that only enrolled females, sorry. So there won't be a male, female. Okay, so let's say I'm only interested in looking at weights. Then I can just put that in. I can do filters, and you know, this is very similar to the kind of filter that you would do in Excel. You would say, I want everyone where, I don't know, let's just see. That said cigarettes, former user at the screening event, for example. Then I can say save, view report, and there we go. There I'm pulling out my weights at screening. Okay. So what you'll notice is I'm getting multiple lines per patient. And this is a feature of having enabled the longitudinal setup. So if I only want to see the one line, the screening line, then I can edit this report. And I can, over here, I can say additional filters only show me screening. And then I'll get one line per patient. But whenever you've got repeating measures over time, you might end up with multiple lines per patient in your report. And that is something to keep track of. So, you know, where it's not necessary to make projects very complicated, I would advise against it. Just because it's so easy to do the data exports yourself. And you don't want to be struggling with unnecessary extra lines per patient with a very complex project if you don't have to. So if it's a very simple cross-sectional study, then you know, don't enable longitudinal, don't enable repeating forms, just keep it plain and simple, and you will come out with one line per patient. Again, I can do stats and charts on the same thing. It will show me the values, and I can also export the data. I can choose raw data labels. I've only got the weight in this export, so in this case, it doesn't really make a difference whether I choose raw data or labels. It will only change the headings of the columns. But you can customize whatever you want into the report. Now, if I go back to my reports, you'll see this is my custom report that I created, and it stays there. I can edit it, I can copy it, I can delete it. On a user rights level, you might remember that there was this section about data exports, and this is where you give rights to a user. You say whether they have access to export data or not. So if you don't want someone to be able to export data, you say no access. You can say de-identified, removed all tagged identifiers, or you can give them access to export full data set. So in REDCap, you can tag certain identifier fields. So for example, the names of the patients, and you don't ever want the names to be exported, then you tag them as identifier fields. And then they will be removed from certain exports if someone has that user right of remove tag identifier fields. So yeah, that is my story. That's how you look at your data in REDCap. So I'm happy to take questions and demonstrate some more based on the questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Annemie. Any questions for Annemie on the dashboard?
Exports for that matter.
All these slides are available on the Google share drive.
Vicky is making slides available.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, because we knew when you grab many times, they can call me remember now, okay?
Or do you mean recordings?
Bye-bye.
Okay, that will be very helpful for us. We can download all these slides and it's very interesting.
Yeah, and then also within REDCap, there's always like a lot of videos, right?
Yes, yes.
So even if you go to the like sort of overview page, you will have this video training videos
Yes.
that you can access, right? And the same videos, you can access it from the main REDCap Vanderbilt site. Even if you don't have REDCap at your institution yet, you can also view these videos from there. But if you have it at your institution, you can get it inside your REDCap instance. There's also the help and FAQ tab, which is very, very useful. You can filter and look for particular topics that you are interested in. Here's the thing about the mobile app, for example, and then it will explain, can we share one device? You know, all the frequently asked questions will be here. It gives you another resources here. What do I do if I can't find a place to sync mobile app? There's even like a link there to help you find a connection. It explains about randomization. So maybe just to highlight this part, since I'm talking about the mobile app again now, you must bear in mind that certain features of REDCap are dependent on being online, and therefore they are not compatible with the mobile app.
Okay.
For example, randomization. You cannot randomize offline because, you know, it's by definition an online process where REDCap has to read the sequential next randomization off a list. So if two people are offline and they both press randomize, then you know who's going to get the allocation. So that, for example, is not compatible with the mobile app. So always check in your project what features you are using and whether they are compatible with the mobile app or not. But yeah, there are lots of videos in here. I'm sure Vicky will make the recordings of these sessions available as well. Yeah, so you guys can check that out. I just want to show the main REDCap URL again. It's just projectredcap.org, and this is where you'll find all the videos and things. Even if you don't have REDCap at your institution, you can go to this site and you can also read and watch all the videos. Maybe send this link to your ICTS people and just tell them I want this installed at the university or at the hospital, and get them to have a look through it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? So the slides will be in the Google Drive folder, and the recordings will also be made available by Mario on YouTube channel when it is ready. So any other questions for Annemie? Any other questions? Otherwise, I think we've...
Evans?
Yes.
Sorry. Annemie, you mentioned in personal talks before that there is a newer version of REDCap. Sorry, so sorry. There's a newer version of the REDCap dashboard. I'm asking this question in context of what SickleInAfrica is posting on their or working on, what Wilson is working on, is a dashboard for a summary, dashboard for summary information about data in the
All the different
REDCap
REDCaps.
database.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, look,
So
I'm not really working
yeah.
on that one, but if you want to just open, do you want to share your screen and just show them what that looks like?
Yeah, before I do that, so yeah, I'm not talking about, so that is what Wilson is working on, and that's what Amrose mentioned, Vicky mentioned that about the dashboard at this the SickleInAfrica site. But
Yeah,
you mentioned that
that's a SickleInAfrica
that
dashboard. Yeah.
yes, but you mentioned that in the new REDCap there is a bright and shiny new dashboard that can do something similar. Do you maybe have a snapshot or a link that we can go and look at this new dashboard? If not, then we can probably
I think
you can probably do
you
it
can
during the
find
day.
it. Yeah, we can find it on this site because UCT doesn't have
Yeah.
that version installed. So it's not easy for me
Is
to
it the
show
most
it.
recent one?
It was probably in the most recent one. Yeah.
Is it
Installations.
the project dashboards on REDCap?
Yeah,
Annemie.
it's where you get an
Yes, yeah.
overview of all your projects, you know, as opposed to just one
Yeah.
project.
I think sometime today or tomorrow, I'm not sure. Wilson may talk about that dashboard. I'm not sure, Vicky. But yeah, so that we're looking at improving the layout and the user experience when PIs, for example, log in and try to get a summary of what data is out there, or what data the consortium has submitted, just general statistics, etc. So Wilson may be able to talk to that, but I'm just trying to explore alternatives or additional, if the tools are already there that we can use, then we may not necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. That's where I'm coming from. That's where my question is coming from.
No, but even
But yeah,
so,
if you can,
it will be a dashboard per instance of REDCap, not across instances.
yes.
So
yes,
each country
yes.
will be able to do stuff for their projects, but not across all the countries.
Absolutely, but at the data coordinating center, we will be ideally have a single REDCap database that has a summary
And
of
pull it all
all
together.
the sites information, and that dashboard is the one that people should have access to. So the question is, what does it look like? Second question is, would it meet the requirements? Third question is, would we be able to make it publicly available in the sense that PIs would be able to log into that dashboard to actually view the information in there. So those are the three questions. But we can have
user rights on your instance.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to have an account on the REDCap instance, but they have access to, password access to the summary of the data in that dashboard. So we can have that discussion, throughout the day. If you can get us that kind of information, that would be good.
Sure. Let's see what Wilson has already gathered as well.
Yeah, no, so he's done a good job. I mean, it's what we've seen is great. So yeah, but we yeah, but thanks, Annemie.
Okay.
So Annemie, Mario, I think I saw something similar as for one project on REDCap with one of the recent updates. So I'm just going to, though I've not explored it fully, I'm just going to
Do you have
show
the new
it.
version, Evans?
Yes.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Let's see if we can find it on your version. So people must also remember that they must check the version of REDCap that they're running at the institution versus the mobile app, and just make sure what is compatible and what is not, because the mobile app usually lagging behind a little bit. Oh, great, you found it. There we go.
Yes, so I think I found it, though I've not explored it fully, but I think it's also able to help you to, this is just an example project they have, so you can do some summaries and do some graphs, some smart graphs based on the data to be able to see on a snapshot sort of an analysis of what you have. This is what I can see from my side. So I think this is, Mario, is it something similar to this that you
Yes,
want?
that's absolutely. So what Wilson is working on, so all of those features, what I don't personally like about this interface then is the fact that you have to scroll down for a lot of information. If this is the way the layout is going to be, what would be nice and what Wilson I think is working on is, you only have a single page. You don't have to scroll down. You may have tabs on the top that you can click. So basically just scroll down quickly, just for me to make an example. So if you want to look at gender, for example, so there'll be a tab that gives you that information. So you don't have to scroll too much. So I think what Wilson is working on, and he can correct me if I'm wrong also, is the user experience. So a lot of times you don't necessarily want to click through a lot of pages. You don't want to necessarily scroll up and down. You want the information to be right there in front of you, just the information that you want, and then also the ability to export that information if needs be. But this looks good. If it can be made to work, I think this looks great. But I'm very biased. I think Wilson's is better. So, but then again, I'm very biased.
I think
Thanks.
Vicky wants to
Thanks,
talk.
Evans.
Yeah, Vicky.
Yes, Evans, thank you for that. I think the dashboard we presented yesterday, and Wilson will be working on it based on some of the work that Gaston was doing. But our SickleInAfrica Consortium dashboard needs to align to the funders' requirements for reporting, because each report that we submit together with the CC on aggregated data has got specific formats that we need to align to. So if we use the REDCap one, as long as it conforms to what the funders want or what's required in the reports. And then the second thing is, I'm not sure here because for whether you can customize it, because for us, the reporting should also be adjustable so that it's per site, because most of these reports are based on sites. I'm not sure if that clarifies it a little bit, because I'm not sure how customizable this one is for REDCap.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm also still exploring it, but I think it's customizable. You can have a public viewable link, so you can do all those editing in this space. But I haven't gone through fully, so I can't speak to it fully like I've done it before. Okay. So
Sorry.
Yeah,
That was
Mario.
very, very last moment. So the point that Annemie was also making is that so throughout the workshop so far, a point that a lot of people are making, and what is essential for data collection is the ability for mobile data capture and then uploading it to the central server. That's very important. The second thing is that Annemie mentioned that because there are two different, so there are different developers who develop the mobile app, REDCap mobile app, as opposed to the central REDCap software. So those don't necessarily always align, and it is important to just keep in mind that although it may be great, as you pointed out, it may be great to have the newest and brightest and flashiest version of REDCap, it may not necessarily play as nicely with the mobile device, so the mobile app. So that needs to be taken into consideration, that not to move too far ahead with the most recent REDCap server and then lose the ability and some of the features that your mobile device would be able to do. So yeah, because I see this is 11.2.6. Yeah, so just that last point, yes, I think is very important to consider. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.